reacting to the documentary that I made 10 years ago about my process of learning Hmong Katia. Let's go.
So Hmong Flower Singing is a term that I coined. The real way to explain this art form in the Hmong language is called Katia. Hmong Flower Singing is a way for Hmong people to be extremely poetic and to be extremely expressive with our words and our thoughts in a way that's more socially acceptable because you are performing, because it is in poetry.
Special language
We use this heightened language called Balu, which means Hmong flowery words. I like to compare the Hmong flower language to Elizabethan English. It's not something that everybody is well versed in, and Elizabethan English is extremely heightened. The whole structure of the language has rules. However, these rules shift and change. Every dialect and every region has a different voice. The words are exactly the same, but the tone on that word is different. So Hmong Flower Singing is all about the voice and it's about the poetry. Actually, scratch that. It's just about the poetry.
Yes, the poetry. So important. We cannot have a conversation about the preservation of Hmong Katia without having a conversation about the preservation and practice of Hmong language. Okay, that's the reason why Katia is so hard to learn, because most Hmong kids nowadays do not know how to speak Hmong, even Hmong adults and even some Hmong elders, because so it's even harder to learn and to understand. That's the reason why learning Hmong Katia is so difficult. Really, not even the singing part. If you don't have a good voice and you cannot, and you're tone deaf and you can't hold a melody, it's already going to be hard for you. But if you do not know the language, you really will have a hard time with learning Hmong Katia. And that's the reason why we want to make this process as easy as possible for people. And Katia, it is all about the poetry. It's all about the poetry. In the Hmong culture, it's not polite to be expressing your emotions all the time, like laughing, crying, just saying the words outright of what you think and feel. It's not normal in Hmong culture to do that. The only time that it's really socially acceptable to do that is actually when you're singing Katia.
Most of my training is in Western classical music, and the way that we shape our mouth and our vowels are very different. The sound is just a lot brighter and more open, and it's a lot more resonant, if that makes sense. Whereas in traditional Hmong flower singing, for the most part, it's all about the words. And musicality is actually something that's built in from the very beginning too. As soon as you memorize the words, you're expected to perform it beautifully already.
Y'all, I cannot stress enough how difficult it is to switch from a Western style singing to a Hmong style singing, because Hmong is actually more nasally, so it's more like in here when you speak Hmong, especially when you sing Katia, you can feel it resonating kind of here in your nose, So for example, if I say Nia yay, the sound is a lot more forward. It's really kind of centered here in my nose, versus when I sing opera or classical music or even musical theater, it's a lot more open, and I'm gonna and it's a lot more open in the middle of my mouth versus being really nasally right here. So that was one of the harder things, was shifting my learning and all my training to adjust it for Hmong Katia, because we want the Hmong Katia to sound good and we want it to sound authentic. But what gives it its authenticity in terms of sound is a lot of intangible things that, unless you actually study music, you don't actually know that it's happening. So if you want Hmong Katia to sound really authentic, not only do you have to look a ming hang like a ming hang, but you also have to understand the breathing. You have to understand the phrasing of you have to understand how to breathe, where to breathe, and then you also have to understand where to put the sound in your voice and in your face so that the sound sounds correct. So this is like a super intense, complicated topic when it comes to like the musicology of Hmong Katia versus Western singing. But if you want to learn more, then leave me a comment down below and I can make a whole video about it. All right, y'all, go to part 6.